Welcome back to our Gruber Motor Company video series. We get at least one request every week asking when we are scaling our third-party Tesla service operation. Some requests come from outside the U.S. and the majority come from densely populated areas within the U.S. What stops us from scaling and replicating our magic is staffing availability. Simply, a shortage of trained people. Due to the demand for these skills, we can barely keep our Phoenix corporate operations staffed to handle even just the Tesla service vehicle growth. The EV producers attempting to build a service delivery system with Tesla in the lead have the same problem, trying to keep their service centers staffed with competent resources to keep pace with the ever-increasing EV vehicle production volume. No EV manufacturer is immune from this shortage. The service delivery systems just do not seem to be able to scale at the same aggressive rate as the EV vehicle production. Since some of the released vehicles are either from new EV producers or existing ones with new-to-market models, warranty issues tend to clog up the service centers since only so many failures can be caught during production design validation and development. Sometimes early detection of product failures occurs well after product releases and some wear and tear. The initial Tesla door handle, window regulator issues, and MCU memory chip failures are prime examples. We interview a number of people for positions as EV techs/mechanics. They generally come from traditional ICE service centers, and few of their skills, aside from wrenching, are relevant in an EV repair process. The candidates being cranked out by auto mechanic learning institutions are even less interesting, since an ASE certification means little in the world of EV repair. A typical interview with a candidate responding to our EV mechanic wanted ads goes something like this. What kind of automotive experience do you have? 1. I'm a diesel mechanic able to diagnose and repair fuel delivery issues. 2. I can perform engine rebuilds on passenger vehicles and exotic cars. 3. I've been rebuilding transmissions, rear ends, etc. 4. I've been doing tune-ups, oil changes, and resolving fuel injection and carburetor issues. None of these skills translate directly into EV service proficiency. So, what skills do we need for applicants seeking a career in the independent EV service field? 1. Wrenching skills. Although EVs look like cars on 4 wheels, that is where the similarity ends. They are really transportation computers. Sure, they have tires, brakes, and suspension components built into a car body, and some traditional mechanic skills apply, limited to these far simpler items in the vehicle. Gone are the complex fuel and fluid delivery systems, mechanical engines, ignition systems, transmissions, and exhaust systems and sensors. 2. Electronic repair skills. Factory service centers have a steady stream of subassembly parts available, such as in the case of Tesla. Entire MCU assemblies, which is the Linux computer with a 17-inch screen, body control modules, onboard chargers, DC-to-DC converters, entire drivetrain batteries, and many other electronic modules that control everything from door handles, trunk releases, and brakes. Independent EV service providers, faced with limited parts and documentation support from OEMs, are forced to develop repair skills right down to component level, since they can't simply go into a well-stocked parts room and grab and replace modules and subassemblies. Being able to troubleshoot to component level by opening up batteries, modules, and the computerized systems is part of the skills that we look for in the independent space. 3. Software skills. The EVs and even most last-generation ICE cars have a hefty software component operating in these cars, providing certain features and functionalities. EV OEMs invest enormous resources in developing diagnostic software tools to service their vehicles, and although companies like Tesla have begun making subscription-based diagnostic software packages available to independent service organizations, Functionality is limited, and user manuals and training are still non-existent. Successful independent service organizations have learned to work at the Linux CAN level, often developing their own software tools, creating a hefty investment in programmers. So the EV technician mechanic of the future for independent service efforts would ideally need to possess all three of these skills: wrenching, electronics, and software. Having been in the independent service space for many years, seeking this elusive, rare triple combination in service personnel is not a realistic goal, and we have had to split these functions into teams. Independent maintenance organizations are not the only ones scrambling to extract talent from the existing very limited pool of EV-trained service personnel. The EV newcomer producers are all intently focused on developing training programs, preparing for ramp-up of service delivery as their vehicles begin flooding the auto market. This new breed of technician/mechanic are career positions with a bright and sustainable future as the EV explosion and conversion continues unabated. At the moment, we are also developing EV training programs for our new hires, attempting to move to something more formal than OJT. I'm Pete Gruber. Thanks for joining us for another video segment.